What's the most awkward thing that's happened at a sleepover? I was sleeping over at a friend's house after a party in high school. I shared a big couch next to this girl I sort of had a crush on, and a couple other people. I was woken up to a tap on my shoulder, and felt my massive boner pressed firmly against this girl. She did not reciprocate. When I was about 7 or 8, me and a few friends were sleeping in a tent in my best friend / neighbor's front yard. His dad was a bit of an alcoholic, quite similar to Randy Marsh actually. Anyways, his dad comes home from the bar, plastered, bursts into the tent and wakes us all up, saying we should all go up to the elementary school across the street. We go with him, the whole time acting like spies, avoiding all the lights, all under his drunk ass directions. We get to the playground, and he decides he wants to challenge all of us to a foot race. So we all line up, he yells, "Go!" and we all take off. Surprisingly, he kept up with us almost all the way to the finish line, before he busted his ass, fell flat on his face, on concrete. He also landed awkwardly on his arm, breaking his wrist. Was awkward at the time, but looking back on it 20 years later, it's quite hilarious. I like this story because it's a drunk dad that isn't doing some family ruining ducked up shit. Just having a good time breaking wrists etc. Took the most wholesomely fulfilling shit in my friend's bathroom, and ended up flooding the bathroom at 2 AM. The parents had to clean up the entire mess. It was an awkward breakfast the next morning. I was in 4th grade and sleeping over at my best friend's house. I wet his bed and then clogged their toilet with a massive dump. I didn't know what to do, so I shut the lid and ran into their garage to hide. I was sleeping over at my cousin's house. We stayed up and snuck out into the living room to watch Cinemax. It was after midnight, and back in those days that was when all the titty flicks came on. One came on that my cousin was really into. He started touching his raging erection in his pajama pants, and then he let out a blood-curdling scream. Somehow he ruptured a vein or something in his peen. We had to go wake up his mom. She looked at it and decided we had to go to the emergency room. Our whole family still makes fun of him for that until this day when we get together. It was 1st grade. My first sleepover party. We were watching one of the Star Wars movies and talking Pokemon cards. We were all having a great time. Bedtime rolls around, and my dad has to bend over to turn the VCR off. As he crouches down, he lets rip a fart so thunderous Thor would have cowered, right into the face of my best friend at the time. 13 or 14 years old. All night RPG session, pen and paper, with my buddies in my friend's basement. His awesome, and very traditionally Chinese mom brings us course after course of food throughout the evening, as I vainly try to GM an adventure where my friends are more interested in creating in-game simulations of being drunk. GURPS had a skill for that, like everything else, than in actually playing the game. The night wears on, and we finally pass out with dawn quickly approaching. Shortly afterward I wake up with a start. My stomach didn't like the awesome Chinese food as much as the rest of me did. Jump up off the basement floor and bolt for the bathroom, only I'm really tall and have a problem with passing out when I get up too quickly. Black out in the doorway and fall hard. Wake up a moment later with my friend standing over me. That's when it hits me, that looming feeling of dread when you realize that you had just shit your pants in front of a room full of your peers. Is this real or am I dreaming? These terror-filled thoughts are interrupted by a renewed gurgling in my stomach. Apparently it is all too real. I claw my way into the bathroom and slam the door shut on my startled friends. I pull my pants down and unleash a foul kind of hell in the toilet, even as shit continues to soak into my ill-fitting jeans. This happened in the 90s. But wait, there's more. Suddenly I need to vomit, because this delicious food apparently cannot leave my body fast enough. I do the only rational thing that can be done, and start puking into the garbage can, as I continue to add to the mountain of poop underneath me. Apparently I had offended some vengeful deity that day, because, obviously, the basket is wicker. So there I am, pooping everything that can be pooped, as I vomit into a garbage can that is, at best, straining it. The floor is covered in vomit, my pants are full of shit, and that's the day that my social anxiety started. Welcome to the next decade of your life, kid. TLDR. Rolled a critical fail on not shitting everywhere. This was both awkward and kind of scary. I was 8 or 9 years old. My friend was having a birthday party, and a bunch of us were sleeping over in the basement. The basement itself was pretty creepy, and we had spent much of the night telling horror stories, until we eventually went to sleep. At around 2 AM, we were woken up by one of the girls stomping up and down the stairs. She was yelling and crying. I can't remember what she was yelling specifically, but it was basically nonsense. It basically looked and sounded like she was possessed. A few of the girls started asking her to go back to sleep, and she basically just angrily screamed no, and continued going up and down the stairs. Finally, she eventually stopped, without a word, and walked back to bed. Found out in the morning that she had been sleepwalking, and on top of it had wet the bed. She was really embarrassed, and we all felt really awkward at breakfast that morning. TLDR, friend woke us all up acting like she was possessed by some kind of demon. Turned out to be sleepwalking and peed the bed. About 11 years ago, sleepover with girls and boys. All lights are out for about 10 minutes. We have all settled down and gotten silent for sleeping. Then we hear a grown male voice clearly enunciate the word, "What?" Now, let me be clear. This was not a child's voice. This was like hearing James Earl Jones say, "What?" There was about a 10-second silence, and then one of the girls says, "Who said that?" Silence. Then one of the boys starts laughing uncontrollably. We turn the lights on, and he is laughing so hard that he's crying. Here we are all freaking out about some strange man in our room while we sleep, and he's pissing himself laughing. He finally calms down enough to tell us that it wasn't a person who asked what. He farted the word. His fart sounded exactly like the word what. We all cracked up. To this day, everyone from that party still answers phone calls from each other with "what?" One time I was over at a friend's house for his 11th birthday. It was myself, the birthday boy, and 3 other guys. We all slept in our sleeping bags in the basement. At around 5 AM, we all awake to find Jake yelling at the birthday boy Derek. The reason? Derek thought it was funny to take a piss on Jake's face while he was sleeping, and Jake freaked out. Jake walked out right after that, while the rest of us stayed up and called our parents around 7. I went home around 8, and in that time, Derek was still trying to play it off as funny. Derek lost 4 friends that night. Friend's mom walked downstairs to find 8 6th grade boys huddled around the TV watching porn. We instantly pretended to be asleep, and nothing was ever said after that. I still think of it every time I see her. I'm imagining you all just falling over like those narcoleptic goats, with the porn still playing in the background. Camping in the backyard with some friends when I had to pee super bad. I couldn't find the zipper to the tent to get out, and I was about to burst. So I ended up trying to pee through the mesh window. I don't know why. Well, peeing through mesh doesn't work very well, especially with terrible 9-year-old aim, and I ended up laying a pretty thick layer of atomized urine all over everyone else in the tent. In the morning it turns out one of my other friends was awake pretending to be asleep, and saw the whole thing and told everyone it was me who peed all over everything in the tent. Dude was awake while he was getting piss all over him and said nothing. What the duck, man. Needless to say, I was not invited to another sleepover for quite a while. When I was like 11, my mom made friends with this chick at her work who had a daughter the same age as me. There was a few times where her mom and my mom would hang out and bring us along, so we were kind of friends. Anyways, the girl has a birthday party / sleepover and invites me. We didn't go to school together, so I didn't know any of the other girls she had over. There was 4 other girls. So we eat pizza, swim in her pool, sleep over stuff. So later in the night, after her mom and her mom's boyfriend had gone to bed, we're all hanging out in her room just talking about weird preteen shit while listening to music. So the TV is on, but since we have music on too, the TV is on mute. I don't know who put it on or how long it had been on, but in the middle of our conversation this girl says, "Oh my god, look at the TV." It was some softcore Cinemax porn, and the room just went silent. So this other girl asks if any of us had ever come. Most of us are like, "Oh no." So then she asks if we know how. Again we're all like, No, not really. So this girl grabs a pillow and starts humping it, while we all just sit there. Sean Paul's Temperature was playing in the background. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, and we'll see you in the next one.